All right, I'm going to talk a little bit about picado here. We're going to try to use this kind of camera angle here.
Okay.
All right, there's an argument about how the picado moves.
Okay.
Some people believe it's coming from a lot of people believe that it's coming from this action, which would be the middle finger joint primarily. So this is possible, but you have to relax the tip joint in order to do this thing. There are a couple things that has to happen. First of all, you can tell if you're doing it or not by how much you're collapsing this top knuckle here, okay? So if you keep it fairly collapsed like this, you can do this movement where you actually pull the string, okay? You like, it's hard to see. Okay, you're pulling like this across. And by allowing the tip joint to collapse, you can get an apoyando sound. Okay, so a lot of people feel when playing fast scales or whatnot that that's what's happening. And part of the reason they think that is because of this, seeing a picture at this angle, where it appears that these joints here, the knuckle, we'll call it big knuckle, big joint, is not moving at all. It's fixed, and then therefore there's only pulling in this manner. Now, I've seen other videos where people believe this is happening like this, and you can see it would look like more or less like this, because you have to pull from that joint. And sometimes if you're only looking at the tips or whatever, you might feel that's what's happening. But if you see this, a slight arch here with this top knuckle is arched, and this is what's really driving and pulling the string. Another thing you might notice is sometimes the tip joint will not be collapsed. This whole unit is moving like this, and it's pushing downward. Now, if it were as simple as that, it would be easy to tell which mechanism is being used. A collapsed tip would mean you're pulling, and a stiff tip joint would mean you're pushing down with the big knuckle, right? But in reality, it's more complicated, because even when you push like this with the big knuckle, you can have awkward string crossings here. So here's an example. If I wanted to play the notes like this, I'm going to play A, open B, C, D, E, right? It's hard to do this while I'm holding the camera, but let me put this down really quick and see if I can do it this way. Okay, so something like this. Okay, without moving my thumb, because obviously you can move like this, your whole hand to orient your fingers. You can do the same orientation on each string if you move your whole arm, in other words. But let's say you don't want to move your arm. Let's say you need a bass note here. So what has to happen here is when I reach in this position and I play the first string, you can clearly see pushing down with the big knuckle, and I'm not collapsing my tip joint at all. Reaching backwards here, I have to kind of collapse a little bit the middle finger in order to reach backwards across to the B string. So just doing this, you can see that you have to collapse the middle finger just to get that apoyando to sound right. Anyway, continuing with those notes, when I get down to A, in order to, okay buddy, we'll do it later, okay? In order to play this note here, you have to collapse the tip joint, just for that one note. So you have this. Okay, now just because that collapses doesn't mean I'm pulling from here. I'm still pushing down from here, but I have to collapse the note, the tip, in order to drive the finger through the string and allow it to come to rest on the adjacent one. Try it a little bit. Right? Now you can reverse the fingers and you'll see the opposite happening, where now my middle finger will be the one collapsing back here more again for the third string note. In that case, I don't ever have to fully collapse my index. group of strings, we can typically think of doing this kind of complicated, either you flex the tip or you don't, depending on your orientation, while I'm driving the notes from here. But in a group of 3 strings. So if I move up a group of strings, I have to move my whole arm. So when doing something like a long scale run, you'll notice flamenco players preparing to get ready for that, because what's going to happen is a full movement. So you're kind of treating each string like your same orientation, all the way to the bottom. And in reverse, same thing happens where you do this. And then when you do tirando, again you're moving from here the same way. In the last movement, when you pull up, you do kind of pull a little bit with the middle finger. But if I'm doing, all the fingers are kind of making a little fist and pulling upwards like this. But that feeling is not really the same as picado. You can feel the difference by just doing this versus. So in other words, I'll note it. You can feel a little bit of a different feeling here with the tip joint about how you play a picado without resting versus this. It's a little bit different, but obviously the sound is the same kind of thing because you're not resting. But when doing a scale, you're moving the whole mechanism this way, and you're thinking about this as the same as apoyando like you would on the 5th string. Okay? You're just not literally resting on anything. But anyway, I feel that a lot of these problems are due to people are confused by the angle of the camera. So seeing the picado done here, it's not obviously apparent that you're pushing from here. It feels like, or it looks like you're just pulling the string like this versus pushing down. See, they're two different feelings. This is different than this. And you can really feel it better inside of your own body perhaps than seeing this thing, but if you experiment with this a little bit, you'll probably come to the similar conclusions that everybody else has come to, and that's that you push from here through the string, regardless if you're straight fingered with it or you bend from here in terms of your preparation, your planting of the note. Regardless, it's the same activity of driving the picado. So that's why teachers typically say you're driving from here, not from here, because it's a very different feeling inside when you're playing. Alright, hope that helps.